This week we will be covering the Vietnam War. The Vietnam War remains one of the more controversial things the United States has been involved in. And as you've seen over this year, it's not exactly a short list of controversial things we've been involved in. To date, the Vietnam War goes down in history as being the only U.S. military loss, as historians are still debating to this day how to judge the most recent war in the Middle East. So to date, the Vietnam War is our only loss. From the very beginning to the very end, the Vietnam War was full of controversies and all kinds of struggles, both at home and internationally. So over the next couple of videos and our notes, we'll hopefully get a greater view as to why this is so. One of the reasons why was who was involved. This war predominantly took young, middle to lower class men, with the upper class managing to kind of skirt away from the draft. We'll see why in a little bit. The average age of a U.S. World War II soldier was 26, whereas the average age of a U.S. Vietnam soldier was 19. So back here in the United States, with technology ever increasing, we were constantly inundated with pictures like this of young, good-looking American boys who had their whole futures ahead of them, many of which sadly would not live long enough to realize those futures. So a little bit of background. The end of World War II left most of the world, including Southeast Asia, dangerously unstable. During the 19th century, France had colonized the countries of Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam. But with France pretty much destroyed by Germany during World War II, many countries took advantage of that weakness and stepped in and took advantage of these countries themselves. Japan, primarily, was able to seize control of these former French colonies. So Japan took control of not only Vietnam, but also the countries of Laos and Cambodia. Well, when World War II ended, many of these countries, now that Japan was also kind of out of the picture, they wanted their own independence. But the United Nations didn't feel like these countries were ready for their own independence. So there began even more struggles within these countries. Ho Chi Minh, for after your first empty dash, leader of North Vietnamese independence-seeking group. Ho Chi Minh wanted his country to be free. He didn't want his country to be ruled by France or Japan or anyone else. He wanted his people to be free. The United Nations, again, sadly, disagreed. So this is where we first have a divided Vietnam. It worked so well, sarcasm, with Korea that we thought we'd do it all over again with the country of Vietnam. So once again, we have Vietnam divided into two regions, the North and the South. After each North and South dash, we're going to put who is kind of overseeing that group. For after the North, let's put China. And as China was a communist country, North Vietnam also started becoming communist. For the South, after the dash, let's put Britain for France. Because France was still too weak themselves, their ally Britain had nicely agreed to kind of step in and help oversee their territory until France was once again powerful and strong enough to do so themselves. And with Britain and France kind of influencing the South, South Vietnam maintained a democratic style of government, more or less. These are a couple images. Today's standard flag for Vietnam is on the north, and what used to be the South Vietnam flag is on the in the right. South Vietnam no longer exists today, so it all goes by the flag to the left. North Vietnam's flag is now just the flag of Vietnam. But then we have the United States. Through all of that, nobody could really see a reason why the United States would get involved in this Vietnam conflict, North and South. And the truth is, we couldn't see a reason either, until one was created. On August 2nd, 1964, for after the dash, let's put Maddox, which is spelled M-A-D-D-O-X, spying in international waters. The U.S. ship, the Maddox, reported that it was in international waters, where anyone is allowed to be. It also reported that it was attacked without warning by North Vietnamese torpedoes in these international waters, which is a violation of international law. This is a clear attack, and the United States urged us to retaliate, to defend ourselves.